Hey guys, Mad Starkhaven here. Hope you're having a great day. Today I'd like to talk about Cyberpunk 2077. Did it live up to the hype? Now the answer to this question is very simple. No, it did not live up to the hype, which means you can all stop watching the video now because I've answered your question. But no, seriously, today we're going to be looking at the marketing behind Cyberpunk 2077, and more specifically, the marketing that CD Projekt Red put on their own website. This is definitely an area I'd like to explore, mainly because marketing is meant to get you to play the video game. That's what it's meant to do, okay? It's meant to hype up the game, it's meant to get you excited, but the question is, did the marketing reflect what you actually got in the end product? So firstly, I've left a link in the description to the Cyberpunk 2077 webpage where I'm getting all this marketing material from. I'm going to be going through these marketing slides one by one and dissecting them through my own experience of playing the game and gameplay from other YouTubers that I've watched also. Finally, if you haven't played the game, I will be spoiling some elements of the story, so before you continue watching, you have been warned, there will be spoilers in this video. Gameplay that you're watching also in this video is from midway through the game. It's just some open world content, it's nothing special, and it shouldn't spoil anything in the story. But now that the disclaimers are out of the way, let's get into the video. So the first marketing slide is Night City changes everybody. It's an open world action adventure story set in Night City, and Metropolitus obsessed with power, glamour, and body modification. You play as V, a mercenary outlaw going after a one-of-a-kind implant that is the key to immortality. You can customize your character's cyberware, skill set, and playstyle, and explore a vast city where the choices you make shape the story and the world around you. So firstly, it is an open world game, obviously, but I'd say it's more action adventure than open world, and I say this because the open world feels very stilted in this game versus say their previous game, The Witcher 3. And I say this because the NPCs, because they're randomly generated versus The Witcher 3, where they felt like they had more personality. Like, you'd pass the same NPC in The Witcher 3 and they would say the same thing. Now by this, when you pass them each time, you know that you're passing that NPC, and it makes the world feel more lived in because you're passing the same person again. Whereas in Cyberpunk 2077, it feels like you're just passing random civilians with no personality, and it kind of breaks immersion just the tiniest of bit. Now you most certainly definitely can customize your character's cyberware, skill set, and playstyle, and I feel like that's the game's biggest strength, so that 100% is correct. And the last thing on that, which is explore a vast city where your choices you make shape the story and the world around you, that isn't so much the case in the game. So you're locked into some linear paths where you just make some decisions that can change the outcome of certain things, but it's not really shaping the world around you, and the world doesn't really change as you go through the game and make various decisions. No matter what you do, the world will remain the same, and I feel like that's something that CD Projekt Red mismarketed. The story, at the end of the day, there's only a certain amount of endings that you can acquire, and they require you to play all the side activity, otherwise you'll get pretty much the worst possible ending imaginable. But moving along, so the next one is play as a mercenary outlaw. I don't have much to say about this one as it's pretty much dead on, spot on. You play as a cyberpunk, you become a mercenary, especially after the prologue when the game world opens up to you. So yeah, I don't really have much to say about that one, so we're just going to move on. The next one is use a variety of upgradable weapons, hacking skills, and body enhancing implants to become the best hired gun in town. Now the game's biggest strength is its gameplay. I cannot stress this enough. There is so much variety in Cyberpunk 2077's gameplay and how you approach situations that it kind of makes the side activities feel less stale, and it makes grinding through the open world content actually kind of enjoyable. You can customize your character to however you'd like. So for me, I liked using the katana, for example. Some people might like stealthing purely. I like to mix stealth in with just going in and killing everyone. You can use shotguns, pistols, assault rifles. There is such a wide variety of weapons and playstyles that you can play with. And then there's also hacking, which never gets old and always feels rewarding. By the time you've finished playing the game, you definitely feel like you're the best high gun in town because you're practically overpowered once you've leveled up your character. Now the next one, which is take down everyone from corporate security to the police to gangs and other mercenaries in order to gain street cred needed to access better jobs. You don't really access better jobs, that's incorrect. What happens is, as you go through the game and you complete the side activities, you get street cred, which allows you to access more jobs. Whether they're better or not, that's not entirely true. They're just going to be the exact same side missions that you've played through at this point 100 times. Also, a quick side note on the police. The police AI in Cyberpunk 2077 is terrible. Absolutely terrible. I cannot stress this enough. When you do any illegal activities such as kill a civilian or run over a cop or get too close to the cops even, which can trigger the cops, what happens is you get a couple of stars. Now you literally just have to run down the block and out of the police's range and they'll stop chasing you. The police AI is absolutely broken and CD Projekt Red needs to fix this because they're just not sensitive at all and they don't chase you, which makes them not fun. Okay, I know it's not fun to have the police hounding you all the time, but GTA 5 nailed the police in my opinion, and Cyberpunk 2077 needs to get closer to that versus what it currently is, which is useless. The cops are useless. They discount more cops, they're terrible. Except more cops would actually do their job and chase you if you committed a crime. Moving on, spending your hard-earned money on weapons, cyberware, or having fun buying cars, motorcycles, and other outrageous clothing. This slide feels a bit, And I say that because the economy in-game feels very punishing in terms of everything costs a lot of money. Now, I know a lot of people defend this by saying, but real life is hard. You can't buy everything in real life. We're not playing real life, we're playing a video game. So when you earn pitiful amounts of money in the game, it feels very grindy. It makes you question what you should buy in the games. You end up buying nothing, really. That was just my experience. Cars are overly expensive, and trying to buy all the cars, they all perform practically the same anyway. It's a cosmetic change, and that's something that they mismarketed as well, because they said there was a wide variety of cars and motorcycles in the game. They all perform the exact same, and you do missions where you get cars for free anyway, so it kind of makes that pointless. Weapons and cyberware are definitely more rewarding, especially the cyberware. That's something I recommend you spend your money on. But clothing is also another frivolous thing to spend your money on, as you never see your character unless you're riding a motorcycle or you're driving a car and you're really careful to look at your character while you're driving instead of looking at the road. So the customization in the game really is lacking at the moment. I'd like to see CD Projekt Red fix this with some DLC or maybe rebalance the in-game economy, but we'll just have to wait and see on that one. Before we get into the real juicy marketing, which is live in the city of the future, enter the massive open world of Night City, a place that sets new standards in terms of visuals, complexity, and depth. Journey through a city that's larger than life, explore gang-ridden war zones, trading in its bustling downtown, and raid corporate havens. Almost all of that is marketing spiel. I can't stress that enough. Visuals and complexity, there is no current open world game that meets its visuals, especially with ray tracing. If you have a 3090 and you spent $3,000 Australian on a new graphics card, you will be treated to a visual splendor like never before. If you got it on last gen consoles, unlucky. CD Projekt Red, get good. But that's something we'll talk about later in the video. Complexity, there is a lot of complexity to Cyberpunk's world, and that's something that I really enjoy, just walking around the city. A lot of places which you can explore, just walk around, but they definitely nailed the visuals and complexity. Problem is they did not nail the depth. Like I said, the civilian AI in the game is downright awful and needs massive patching and fixes. They're brain dead. They're brain dead AI. They're the kind of AI you'd find in a lesser game. Didn't take 8 years to make and wasn't made by CD Projekt Red. Maybe EA would have made a game like that. City that's larger than life? Not so much. Gang-ridden war zones? Not so much. You just get some fighting here and there. There's not really gang-ridden war zones by any means. Bustling downtown? Yeah, there's a lot of brain-dead AI downtown. And raid corporate havens, not so much. That's all marketing. Make deals with sleazy fixers, desperate celebrities, and renegade artificial intelligences, all fighting tooth and nail to make it big in Night City. Side content in Cyberpunk 2077 is actually one of the things that elevates the game above what would actually be technically considered mediocrity, because there's so much depth to its side content in terms of there's a lot of different characters who are actually interesting and you want to meet. Sleazy fixers, they practically say the same thing, but they actually got so much personality that it never gets old talking to them. The celebrities, the exact same thing. The artificial intelligences, there is one side quest that you should complete after the prologue. It's the Delmain side quest chain. You should complete that. It's hilarious. All fighting tooth and nail. Not really, they're not fighting at all. They're just kind of there to give you a job and then pat you on the back if you did a good job, or tell you that you sucked, but still pay you anyway, so it doesn't make really much of a difference. It's just window dressing, isn't it? Make choices in your journey and watch the story change based on your actions. Bullshit. It doesn't change based on your actions. The prologue will end in the exact same way every single time, no matter which opening you choose, whether that's the Corpo, the Street Kid, or Nomad. And as for the ending of the game really is determined of whether you did all the side content or not, or did you please Johnny, who, spoiler alert, is Keanu Reeves, and you get him after the prologue in your head permanently. It's fantastic. I consider the story in the game to be closer to Fallout 4 levels of you influence the story than, say, Witcher 3, where it feels like you're going through a story which is dynamically changing as you go along. But it's definitely not as CD Projekt Red made it out to be, where it's this big dynamic story where you make a decision, it will ultimately impact the story and there's 1,000 different endings. No. It definitely is not like that. Steal the implant that grants eternal life. Take the riskiest job of your life and go after a prototype implant that is the key to immortality. Yeah, it's just Keanu Reeves. That's what that is. And then the rest of the story revolves around you trying to survive because you're gonna die after 4 weeks. This is one of the biggest problems with the story, actually. After the prologue, you're practically told that you got a short amount of time to live. So that sounds bad, right? Oh my gosh, we gotta get on with it. Yeah, you can spend like 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 plus hours engaging in anything but the main campaign and nothing will change. The main story conflicts with the rest of the game, and that is a problem that most open world games suffer from. Skyrim suffered from that, Fallout 4 suffered from that. Almost every open world game which has dynamic storytelling in quotation marks suffers from this, because the open world is what you want to explore. So making a story where there's an artificial timer on you will die if you don't achieve this actually lowers the stakes of the story, because you can just keep going. No consequences will amount from that, and it sucks. Push yourself to the absolute limit to get your hands on Night City's most valuable implant, a prototype chip that can make you live forever. Face corporate leaders, underground hustlers, and the most feared people of Night City in certain cutscenes only. Those who will do everything in their power to possess the prototype chip until you get it stuck in your head and then they forget about it after they try and kill you. That slide can just go away because it's not true. Complete marketing hogwash, that second slide. The first slide is true though. You definitely push yourself to the absolute limit, but the chip's not going to make you live forever because, like I said, the artificial clock where you're going to die in 4 weeks time, except you don't die after 4 weeks, spoiler alert. And then choose how to handle this enormous power and who you wish to become. What power? There's no power that comes from the chip. The only thing that comes from that chip is Keanu Reeves, and he just shows up every now and again to either give you some Keanu Reeves dialogue or to tell you that you're doing a terrible job. Now, Keanu Reeves is the highlight of the game. Once you get past the prologue and you get Keanu Reeves in your head, it's fantastic. The game goes from like an average game to this next level John Wick style assassin level game. That ultimately is the biggest problem I have with the game, is that people hype the game up to this insane level where they thought it was going to cure cancer, solve their marriage problems, get them a girlfriend, cook them dinner, make them lunch. It's ridiculous. And that isn't really the fault of CD Projekt Red. That's the fault of us as the consumers. Now, that being said though, I'm not going to blame us consumers, because as you could see, a lot of that marketing was hogwash. And it doesn't matter whether it's CD Projekt Red or EA or any other big AAA game, you should never buy too much into the marketing. I try to avoid this. I try to be anti-hype, so I didn't really go into the marketing that much. I kind of moderately expected a good game at least. If you bought this on last gen consoles, I really do feel sorry for you, and CD Projekt Red deserves to be flamed for how they handled that situation. First of all, withholding review copies for last gen consoles and then releasing it in the state that it was utterly terrible, and something I wouldn't expect from them. Something that I expect from like a Ubisoft or an EA. The fact that Sony and Microsoft both announced refunds shows that it was really in that bad of a state. That being said though, there are other games that should have been refunded at launch, such as Assassin's Creed Unity, most CODs, Anthem for just being a complete waste of time. But because Cyberpunk 2077 was so anticipated, that's the level of backlash you expect. I'm not going to give CD Projekt Red a free pass because I don't give any of the other companies a free pass. That being said though, I actually expect CD Projekt Red to turn it around versus the other companies who just continue doing the same crap that they always do. But I could be wrong. CD Projekt Red could go down that path. We just have to wait and see. At the end of the day, Cyberpunk 2077 really is an odd one because it's a really good game beneath all the bugs, and once you get past the marketing spiel, it's just a really fun game. But you just got to temper your expectations going, know what you're getting into, know what you're playing, okay? At the end of the day, no game is going to do it for everyone. A game is what you make. Will you enjoy the game? Only you can answer that question. Some people will, some people might not. And that is you for the consumers to decide whether you think your hard-earned money is worth spending on this game. So this has been a pretty long video. Thank you all for watching up to this point, if you've made it up to this point. My next video will be more Gears of War 5. I've actually really enjoyed that game. It's hilarious, the dialogue, the characters, it's fantastic. And I don't know what my next commentary style video will be, so just wait and see about that. Anyway guys, do all that YouTube stuff. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.